the American dream right there. You know, beautiful story. But that ain't the way the world works.
You waltzing in here like you mean something. We're in the...
Carmine Falcone's dead.
If we don't protect what's ours, we just look weak.
Do you remember Carmine's daughter?
I mean to interrupt.
Sophia, I thought you was still at,
Arkham? No.
Hello everyone, Dan here from the Next Issue Podcast. On today's video, we'll be talking about the Penguin finale. This is episode 8. A great of a little thing. Whew. Before we get into spoilers, there's a lot of things we want to talk about. Did we see Batman? What else are we setting up for? How did this all play out? Let me tell you, this was a very, very satisfying finale. It's extra long. It's probably got about 5 to 7 additional minutes than what we normally get, especially from the last 2 episodes that have been a little bit shorter. So that was great to get we get a lot of closure. We get a full arc here. And I think that you probably would have never guessed where things really ended up. And that's the best part of this, because I wanted to go into this show not knowing what was going to happen, you know, whether it's like my knowledge from the comics or just theories or people talking. I did not want to know where we were going to go. So here we are with one of the great finale, fantastic performances. The cast overall really just knocked it out of the park. You know, we have our main 2 leads really in the show, but everybody around this show made it very, very special. And I'm very excited for the future of, first of all, the Matt Reeves crime saga, as they're calling it. And also maybe the future of the show. I can see this picking up in a second season. I can see another spin-off in this world. Maybe we could get that Gotham Central type of show where it's more about the police and what they're doing, especially the way things are left off here. You know, that might be something that we see after the film, the second film. So either way, very exciting stuff. And we'll definitely answer the question, did we see Batman? What else? All that. So stay tuned, because we're about to get deep into spoilers. If you haven't seen the finale, go check it out. Come back and watch this. Let me know what you thought about it down in the comments. All right. We begin with a little bit of therapy. We are at a flashback where Rex visits Frances, but instead of seeing Frances as her younger self, we see present Frances in the flashback. So we know that this is all therapy with Dr. Julian and his little machine that glows red. We discover that Frances knew about the boys and what Oz did to his siblings. And we also discovered that Frances' plan was to actually kill Oswald as a child, or have him have Rex take care of it as we would. So yeah, this whole first sequence, the cold open itself, is Julian unlocking all these memories for Frances. Boy, that was a lot to start with. Like, we already knew that, like, I mean, especially after all the reveals from the last episode, we knew it was something pretty intense. But man, oh man, they really, really added so much more through all this stuff, through these flashbacks, through these revelations. I thought we were going to learn that Rex was maybe Oz's dad, but that does not seem to be the case here. So we cut back to the present. He comes back with the army that he went to get with all the gangs, but of course he's too late, and the gangs just abandoned him because they really just wanted. They were trying to save Oz, not because they liked Oz, but because they wanted the product, right? But since the product is gone after the explosion, he's abandoned. Oz is brought to the Monroes, the little bar, you know, whatever salon that we saw where they were dancing in the previous episode. And Sophia confronts Oz about his brothers and tells him the truth with some really torture stuff. Like, they threatened to cut off a finger from his mom, and he really wants. Sophia's main goal is for Oz to admit what he was going to do, or what he did to his siblings, to his mom. To say it out loud. Oswald refuses to do so. So they let Frances free, and she actually stabs him. Like, she breaks a bottle, stabs him. She hallucinates her children, and then she just falls into the floor. this is the opportunity that Oz uses to break free from the chair, and then uses this whole everything that's going on here to escape. So yeah, he gets away from Sophia. So after Oz breaks free, he takes Francis to the hospital, and man, he also himself needs a little bit of stitching. So we see him patch himself up. It was a pretty intense scene, just like seeing him pour the disinfectant on the wound and like stapling himself. Like he finally meets up with Victor, and they start coming up with a plan. Uh, After this, we see that Sophia gathers all the gangs at her house and tells them like, "Look, I'm leaving. Whoever brings me Oz, I'll give you everything you need to take over." So that's really interesting. In the meanwhile, Oz goes to City Hall to talk to Councilman Hattie, who's the guy we met previous episode. He turned the lights back on at Crown Point. Um, and yeah, I love this line by Oz. Like, it is what it looks like. So Oz's whole scheme is to blame everything that happened, all the killings, the explosion, the trade war, like all that. Blame it now on the Falcones and the Maronis gang, war. So really put everything at the feet of Sophia and Salvatore. Of course, we know Salvatore is dead. So it's really interesting to see Oz doing all these deals in the daylight, because most of the time he's been doing everything kind of underground, undercover. So I like that as the show progresses, Oz realizes that he also has to take a different approach. And then when we come back, Link, who is Zhao's like right hand man or whatever, he takes Oz, and then Zhao calls Sophia to tell him that he's got Oz, right? We're gonna meet. I got the bounty. I mean, I want the bounty that you promised. So yeah, Sophia ends up burning down her house. Really cool scene of her like setting everything on fire. She lights up like 3 cigarettes and starts dropping them, and she throws alcohol all over the place. It's probably very cathartic for her. So yeah, it was really nice to have her also get a little bit of closure here. So all um, they go to the airport to meet up. Sophia is about to leave, and obviously her plan is to kill Oz. But in this is where we see that Oz has a little smirk. Sophia notices, and Link shoots Zhao, and then we see like a little montage of all the lieutenants of the gangs taking out the leaders. So they all realize that Oz is the way forward for them, if they kind of want to be a little bit more value, right? They wanted to get rid of the status quo that was going to be formed if Sophia just handed over the kingdom. So yeah, it's a pretty intense scene as well. Um, we get one final confrontation between Oz and Sophia. He takes her to a bridge, but as Sophia is and she's dressed like in this really cool red outfit. I didn't even mention that. Um, but instead of killing her, Oz leaves her there for the cops to arrest her, and she takes the fall for pretty much everything that the cops can pin on her after this episode, after this whole series, right? So Oz has kind of the last laugh when it comes to that. Oz won. Like, this is his move. He's put Sophia in jail. He's all the gangs are now pretty much with him, and he's got the councilman in his pocket, because obviously the councilman bringing all this to light himself is going to elevate his status. We see a pretty cool scene of Oz. I mean, I should have mentioned this earlier, but as he's leaving City Hall, he sees the mayor, and I love the architecture of these buildings. They're very reminiscent of that same building where they were having the memorial for the DA that died in the movie. Like all that stuff. I love that the locations, like, it feels like this is the same city, right? These same locations, the same architecture kind of used throughout all the government buildings. That's pretty cool. So yeah, I love that Gotham we met in the film is really the same Gotham that we continue to see here. So Oz goes to the hospital. He finds out that his mom had a stroke and she's now in a vegetative state. So he is unable to, or yeah, he all he wants to hear from his mom is that she's proud of him. But of course, he doesn't get this because she's now she's now in a state where she didn't want to be in. She asked Oz to not let her have become this, like not let the illness take her. Um, Oz and Vic, like he kind of breaks down. Oz breaks down in front of Vic and his mom and everything. He's crying, and it's a very vulnerable moment. And even the showrunner at the end of in the inside of the episode mentions that now Vic has seen him at a very low point, at his lowest, and that kind of makes him a liability. Which follows up in the next scene, right? Oz and Vic are kind of having they're just kind of commiserating about everything that just happened, figuring out how they're going to move forward. And this is where probably, if you were still rooting for Oz at any reason, for any reason, this is probably the most unforgivable thing that he does. He kills Vic in the park where they're hanging out because he sees him now as a liability for himself. And that is just so messed up. It was a super intense scene. I think they did such a good job shooting that. Man, it was heartbreaking. Heartbreaking. And as we kind of start wrapping up the episode, Julian's back at Arkham and he visits Sophia. Sophia's kind of in this state where she's not really paying attention, not really listening. But as Julian brings her mail, we do see that Sophia gets a letter from Selena Kyle, which obviously we know is Catwoman from the first film. And of course, we know that they're half sisters, but this is something that is brought to Sophia's attention during the letter. So she reads it and gets a little bit of a smile. So we don't know what the letter said. We don't even know where Selena Kyle might be. But that was a really fun nod. I didn't even expect them to bring that up in the story. But I think probably because of all the news, Selena Kyle probably figured out that she should reach out to her half sister, because they've both been damaged by the same person for so long, right? And then for the last scene of this show, this great show, fancy new Oz, new apartment. We do see him in. He doesn't wear the top hat, but he does have it. He's dressed, in a little tuxedo suit with the tails. We see some umbrellas there at his new. So all those little touches that are like, hey, he's not wearing all this stuff, but he is. He may be becoming the penguin that you know. And of course, his mom is there. He set up a room to like kind of keep her there, and we see her crying because obviously she asked him to not let her become this, to not let her be in this state. So it's pretty sad. Like this whole ending is just like Oz maybe got everything that he wanted, but he lost also everything that he probably cared about. And then for one last thing, if like I said, if you still for some reason were on Team Oz, we see Eve at the apartment as well, dressed like his mom, and they have a little dance. And he asked her to tell her that he asked Eve to tell him that she loves him and that she's proud of him, but she's dressed as his mom, so obviously it's weird. It's so weird. And Eve tells him, now there's nobody standing in your way. As we zoom out of the apartment, we see the bat signal go on. And although we did not see Batman himself here in this episode, we know that he's out there. And I love that we kind of started the show with, leaving the events of the movie, but then a reminder at the end of the show that this is the Batman universe. And we are kind of tagging back in because the next that we will see of this world will probably be the Matt Reeves sequel. So yeah, very exciting stuff. I love it. I have a little bit of I guess I'm gonna call this my theory of how we will see Oz going forward. We know that because of his new connections now, he wants to be a little bit more above board, or he's kind of graduated to the next level of corruption, I guess. And he's kind of infiltrated the local government, right? So he's got money, he's got power, and I think that as he tries to fit in to society, very similar to what they were doing in the in Batman Returns, where they they kind of wanted to present him in a very specific way to the people. I think he will change his name to Cobblepot just to sound a little bit more important and try to play that role. I feel like that's the way to go. Like he will be he doesn't want to be Oz Cobb anymore because that's the person that he probably kind of left behind. And I feel like going forward, he will want to be addressed as Oswald Cobblepot, and he'll take on this identity, right? Of like, like maybe he is a rich and powerful, influential person in Gotham. So uh, I really thought we were gonna get like maybe Commissioner Gordon or somebody like that. We did see the mayor, so that was cool. And of course, like I said, the nods to Selena Kyle and Batman. But yeah, it's great. It's great stuff. I really love this show. I think it's been amazing. Between this and Agatha All Along, I really had a good time with some of the early fall, late summer, early fall shows here. I guess it's been fall for a while now. But yeah, this is fantastic stuff, and I can't wait to see where this world moves on from now, where we go from here, because it's very, very good stuff. And Matt Reeves and his team and the creative team of this show has done such a good job, just making sure that we have a thrilling story with so many like nebulous alignments with the characters, and we have characters that we like and we love, and maybe we lose them because that's what's going to make us be more memorable. So there you have it, my thoughts on Penguin. If you have seen this show, let me know what you thought about it down in the comments. As always, thank you for watching, everyone. Remember to share, like, subscribe, hit the bell so you know when we go live. That is most Saturdays, 10 a.m. Central Standard Time. Stay tuned. We have more comic reviews, trailer reactions, TV recaps, all that fun stuff here in the channel. Thanks for watching, everyone. Bye-bye.